Okay, so it's recording. All right, Giovanni, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Stephen.
It's good to have you on. You're from Sydney, and you're on Insight Timer as well, teaching. How long have you been a meditation teacher for?
Well, the first time that I taught meditation was back in 2001. At that time, I was teaching on and off for a few years, and then I stopped, focused more on my career, and on the then I started again since 2014, and in the past 5 years, I've been doing this full time.
Wow, that's so cool to be doing it full time as well, making a living full time teaching meditation.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm a musician too. I'm more of an amateur musician, so I'm not a professional yet. Has it been easy for you to become a professional meditation teacher?
Well, it was a challenge. Most meditation teachers, and the same thing with kind of yoga teachers,
Mm.
they would love to be able to do this full time, but you know, the disciplines of marketing and business are so foreign to us as meditation teachers in general. And I would think it's the same for most musicians.
Mm.
But I really wanted to make this happen. I felt that my purpose in life is to do this work. And before this, I was a programmer. I was happily employed. I was earning well, but I felt like I don't see myself writing code for the rest of my life. I don't think this is what I'm meant to do.
Mhm.
So I really needed to make it happen as a meditation teacher, and for that, learning business and marketing was essential. So that's what allowed me to make it full time. I educated myself in those areas. I got coaches. I bought programs that taught some of these things step by step.
Mm.
So yeah, it was a struggle in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a struggle for every businessman in the beginning. You're starting out with nothing. I know in my first year, I've only made $20 as an entrepreneur. Now, marketing is not something for me, so that's the struggles I'm having. Um, but long term, I think I'll get to the top slowly, slowly. What about for you? What your first year in business? What was that like?
Right. So in the beginning, so first year was mostly setting up my website and writing a lot of content, and then promoting that content in different platforms.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I reached out to people directly on LinkedIn that could be interested in my content. I answered, I think, more than 300 different questions in Quora
Mm.
about the topics of meditation, mindset, etc. I was doing all that I could do to get people's attention to my work. And once I had about 500 email subscribers, then I felt like, okay, now I'm ranking well on Google. People are coming to my site spontaneously. Now I can focus more on creating my first product.
Mm.
And yeah, so that was that. I began creating my course on overcoming fear of failure. It was an online course, and that was my first product. It took me, I think, 8 to 10 months to do that from beginning to end. Especially that I was still working a full-time job, so I had like maybe 15 hours a week, sometimes 20 hours a week, to work on this side project. Took me a long time.
Mm.
Yeah, that was the first year.
Wow, that's so cool. First year in business is, I think it's going to be the most memorable. Do you think it's the most memorable part of your
I don't
career?
know. It's the part that I don't like to think about it anymore. Like I'm glad I'm out of the woods.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that does take time. It's so cool. Insight Timer as well. The courses that are being offered on there too. You know, are you from Brazil? Are you?
Yes,
Yeah.
born and raised in Brazil, and I migrated to Australia about 9 years ago.
Yeah, and you were coding. I tried to do coding with Python, but not easy to code websites. You know. So did you do a degree in software engineering?
Well, that's the thing. I taught myself. I went to a couple of weekend courses and I read book after book about programming. And I have no background in programming, but I taught myself, and I was able to create a couple of iPhone apps.
Mm.
And then I moved to Australia, and I wanted to make that my full-time thing. With a lot of effort, I was able to get like some jobs, and then I started doing a master degree in IT, and yeah, but I quit after 6 months because I felt like, no, I just want to. I'm getting the jobs already now, so and they don't care that I don't have a formal education in IT. That's not that important. The only thing they care about is can you code or not.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, coding's. When I was trying to code, I was getting a lot of headaches coding. You know, trying to solve all these problems too. Uh, I tried Python, a bit of JavaScript, HTML, CSS. What was your language of choice?
Objective C,
Yeah,
which is what we use to build iPhone apps.
because you got Xcode as well. That's for iPhone too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was using.
yeah. And I heard like software developers who, if you can work for Netflix, earn really good money.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean it's a great career overall. There's always demand for it if you're good, if you do the work, if you study, and you can write code. I don't think you're gonna have problems making comfortable living.
mm, mm. And also, besides meditation, are you involved in any other projects?
Well, besides teaching meditation, mostly through my online programs, I coach people. I coach people who want to develop the self-discipline they need in order to pursue their goals, change habits, make positive change in their lives, have a routine, feel more in control of their time, all of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you looked at any Tony Robbins? Or have you explored of any Brian Tracy stuff as well?
Yeah, yeah, of course. They are the big names in the market of read books.
Mm. Think and Grow Rich is one of the best books you can read as well.
Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, he's wrote some other good books too, Napoleon Hill, but Think and Grow Rich is one of the best sellers out there.
Hmm.
Well, and being a coach as well, are you always educating yourself every day?
And in this phase of my career, I wish I had more time for education. It just like with 21 regular clients, it's very it's full on. But what I want to second half of this year, I want to focus more again on reading great works that I haven't read and
Mm.
revisiting the basics, etc.
Mm. Yeah, and meditation. What techniques do you specialize in mostly?
Right. So one thing that is different about my work, most meditation teachers, they will um, teach one style of meditation, maybe two or three. And what's different about my work is that I have tried over 70 different styles of meditation. Now, some of them I've tried 3 times, some of them I did it for 9 years.
Mm.
And that allowed me to develop an appreciation for how different techniques are really different, not only in the taste of the practice, but the benefits that you get from them, the experiences are different. And so for people who join my programs, I take them step by step to experiment with 15 different techniques
Mm.
that I found to be really helpful. And then I help them choose one that works best for them.
Yeah, that's so cool because there's so many techniques out there.
Mhm.
So many.
Yeah. It's a little
Um,
bit like sports, if physical exercise was something that is still new in our culture, just as meditation is still new in our culture, then you would have a sense like, yeah, I need to do physical exercise. But if everyone is just talking about running and weights, and you don't like running and you don't like doing weights, then it's like you feel like, okay, physical exercise is not for me. But like you could be doing basketball, you could be doing swimming, you could be doing martial arts. There are 100 different things that you could do, and it's the same thing with meditation.
mm,
Yeah, so
yeah.
finding something that you enjoy,
Mm.
something that works for you, that's very important.
And with live streaming, are you? Because I noticed you're not live streaming as much on Insight Timer as well. If
Well,
you
I
could
do
stream,
every Sunday night US time. I do a live stream.
gotcha.
Yeah.
so many teachers are doing it. It's like I log on there. It's like so many times are booked out now. It's grown so much.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
that's right.
And is this a weekly thing that you're streaming on Insight Timer?
Yeah, so every week I run my mindful self-discipline classes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically going through chapter by chapter of my book of the same title, Mindful Self-Discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and people ask questions, and there's a lot of excitement. Like some people, they will not miss a class, and they'll get upset if they get 5 minutes late. Like they're really excited about this topic. So um, it's really great to see that, and seeing this response from the public, and people sending me messages like, "Oh, I've read everything. Like this is the thing that I needed. Like this is amazing." This has motivated me to put more and more energy on the book, and then the app, and then the coaching, but really focusing on this niche of how you can use mindfulness and meditation to help you build better habits.
Mm. It's good to build a daily habit of it. I've also tried the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation as well.
Right.
That's really helped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite is the law of attraction is what I focus on, and I love listening to Tibetan singing bowls,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sound therapy as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. These are the law of attraction is a very popular concept,
Mm.
and it's a concept that has been there in the meditation traditions for a very, very long time.
Mm.
But in the last century, these ideas have been popularized in the West. But the way that this is taught by law of attraction, it's in my point of view, it's very simplistic. It just says like, hey, whatever you believe in, whatever you think about, will happen. Um, and the truth is that yes, our thoughts have power, and whatever we think about repeatedly, with feeling, with emotion, with conviction, yes, that tends to happen. But it doesn't appreciate the fact that different minds will have different abilities to make things happen.
Mm.
Our minds, for most people, their minds is so distracted. Like when you have 1,000 thoughts in different directions, every thought is very weak. Versus if you're always kind of thinking and manifesting, so to speak, and focusing and energizing the same one goal, the same one idea, right? I mean, the law of attraction happens in both cases, but in the first case, the gravity is so weak because your mind is dispersed, your mind is scattered. So your ability to make things happen, to manifest things, is very weak. Now, if you have a very focused mind, if you have a disciplined mind, if you can focus your thoughts, your energies into one thing day after day, then that is going to be strong, and that's going to happen. So, in my point of view, meditation is the missing piece in the whole law of attraction thing. Meditation trains your mind. And with a powerful mind, then you can manifest powerfully, not otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's what The Secret left out as well, and Bob Proctor as well. I found when he lectures, he just makes it so complicated than it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the movie The Secret?
I've seen it partially, and then I just turned off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not because I think it's interesting, but I immediately saw like, okay, they are explaining a concept here that is true and essential, but it's so kind of in an airy fairy way, in a kind of watered down way that I didn't watch into the end. But I watched enough to have an idea of how this is being taught.
Mm. Yes, when I watched The Secret, I thought some of it was sort of too good to be true.
Mhm.
There was one person, he said he was just getting random checks in the mail.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
didn't
if you
ex-
think about it, like how many people, I don't know, buy the lotto ticket every week, believing that this time will be it,
Mm.
and they die without having ever won the lotto.
Mm.
So obviously, their thoughts and their beliefs and their action is creating an effect in the universe invisibly, something that cannot be. But is it strong enough to make that happen? No, it's not. And so with the law of attraction, The Secret, they don't explore the fact that you need a certain amount of momentum, you need a certain amount of strength for the energy of your thought to actually attract something. It's not that every thought is going to turn into reality. Obviously, that's not what happens.
No, exactly. And there was one case where one person was saying that they visualized themselves in a sports car, and one day, I don't know, manifested a sports car. Now, my teachers on Insight Timer have taught me much better than The Secret, and
Yeah.
explained it better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some of these Joe Vitale, Bob Proctor, they're charging thousands of dollars, and I think they're exploiting it.
Yeah. Like one of the idea is that every thought has power. Okay, but not the same amount of power, right? So the thoughts can be weak, or the thoughts can be charged with incredible momentum. If you wish to have a sports car, that thought has a little bit of power. Probably never going to be enough in 1,000 years to make you get a sports car. Now, if every day or let's get an example that is kind of less trivial, so to speak. If you want to be a well-known musician, and you just desire that, that thought has very little power. Now, if every day you go and you affirm that to yourself, that I will become a very well-known musician. And let's say that you write that on a special diary, that you have a special book, a diary that you have only for this purpose. And you write this 10 times every day in the morning, and you write it 10 times every day in the evening. And every time that you're writing, you're not only writing, but you're repeating to yourself, and you're feeling it to be true. And you're not only doing this, but you are taking action in your day-to-day life based on the assumption that that is going to happen. Right? You're taking the actions that will you are working also on the external way, not only the internal way, not only creating with your mind, but also with your actions. And you do this day after day, and then the conviction that it has to happen, this becomes so strong. And when you have this conviction, then the action that you're going to take is going to be different. When you're creating your music, when you're promoting your music, when you are playing music, it's going to have a different energy about it. And all of this together then comes to manifest your dream into reality. Now, this is very different than just daydreaming that, I want to be a great musician, I want to be well known in music. It's a very, very different thing. And the more energy you're willing to put into this aspiration, into this dream, the more you're going to get back, the more the universe is going to respond, so to speak. So I'll give you an example from my life when I was working full-time as a programmer and doing my freelancing and business on the side. I wanted to quit my job. And what I did is I made a pact with the universe, so to speak. And this idea came, before I tell you exactly what I did, this idea came from several spiritual traditions in which you make a promise in order to get something that you want. You sacrifice a form of comfort that you like, or you go and you do something that is very, very difficult so that you generate the energy to achieve something else. So what I said is I needed to earn $70,000 by my birthday, which is the 29th of September. And I did this in the beginning of the year. And if I can get to that number, then I know that this year I'm quitting my job. And that's 70,000 Aussie dollars, not US dollars, right? So it's less. But if I got to that number, then I know I can quit my job and my dream has come true. And so in the beginning of the year, I think it was March, I made a pact that I will not, for this whole year until September, I will not wear anything more than a t-shirt to protect myself from cold. And as a result, in order to generate the energy to manifest this dream. And so I was going to work every day and I lived 15 minutes away from work, so I was walking 15 minutes, go and return twice a day, in the winter with just a t-shirt, right? And
Wow.
inside the office also just a t-shirt, like the whole day, just a t-shirt. No hoodie, no jacket, nothing, no long sleeve, just a t-shirt. And that was difficult. That was very difficult. But every time that I was going through that difficulty, I was repeating to myself, like, I will, I even forgot like what was the affirmation at that time, but it was basically like that I will never again need a job, and I
Mm.
will live based on my work of meditation teaching, etc. It was something more punchy than this. I just don't remember now. So I did this practice and I went through this difficulty, and going through that was generating energy that, like, no, I really want this. I really want this to happen. I really want to make this happen. Every time I was experiencing that cold, it was just like another affirmation. It was more energy put, more momentum put behind this one thought. And but I didn't look at the finances. I was just doing my work normally. And then when the deadline came, I said, like, okay, let me go in and add up the numbers for this year. And then I still remember that day I was seated at the desk and looking outside, and I was just kind of adding the numbers, blah, 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 blah. And then I saw I made $72,000,
Nice.
and I felt so happy. I felt so happy first because it means I've achieved my goal, and this year I'm quitting my job, which I did December that year.
Mm-hmm.
And second, because I felt like, wow, this thing actually works.
Mm.
Not that I had doubt before, but I felt so happy that I was able to use this technique to manifest what I wanted. But you see, like, I generated a lot of energy, and I still took a lot of action with that single pointed focus, with that goal.
Mm.
And then it happened. And this is very different than if I had just spent the whole year thinking like, yeah, I want to quit my job this year. I'll quit my job this year. I will earn money and quit my job this year. This is very different. And when you just read The Law of Attraction or watch The Secret, you have the impression that just doing the latter is enough.
Mm.
And most people will experience that it's not. And then they feel like, okay, this doesn't work. It just has not been taught in the proper way, in the complete way.
Exactly. Wow. So it just happened for you.
Yeah, it happened. I can't say that it just happened because I put a lot of effort, but it was interesting. After a few months doing this experiment, I was feeling the momentum. It was almost like there was something pushing me invisibly. I felt like my projects had begun to take life on their own, and new opportunities were coming out of nowhere.
Mm.
So yes, yeah.
Yeah, there's I've done a couple of courses on Insight Timer about law of attraction. There's so many different techniques too as well.
Mhm.
Um, do you think people got to find their own technique, or it's a personal choice?
Yeah. So I have not done those courses, and because I have learned this principle of law of attraction before it is called the law of attraction, I have learned from the original traditions from where it comes from. And then these in the West, people get these concepts that are very, very old. They give it a new name. They kind of change a few things and say like, this is the law of attraction. It's a new thing. But no, this is incredibly old. So I have not read or studied how people are teaching it these days. I know how this is thought of traditionally, like the yogis and the spiritual masters that have taught this. Um, yeah, at the source, I know it at the source.
Because like Albert Einstein was quoting it as well. Henry Ford was using it.
Mhm.
Um, but you got Tony Robbins. Have you been to a Tony Robbins event?
I've read his book, but I haven't gone to any of his events.
See, he does the whole UPW. He does the whole firewalk as well.
Mhm.
But apparently, he's on stage till 1 o'clock in the morning. It's sort of sleep depriving people, and then they get excited for the whole weekend. Yeah, I can achieve what I want. You go back to your old life, and then where do you go?
Mhm. Yeah, and that's why I say, I've in 20 plus years studying personal development, meditation, spirituality, mindset. I have found that there is one thread that connects it all together. And for me, that is self-discipline. Because any program you go to, any coach you go to, any book that you read, they're going to tell you something that you need to do. And if you do it consistently, whether you feel like it or not, day in and day out, for a certain period of time, you get results. If you don't, then you don't. So self-discipline, which is the ability for you to do those exercises, to create those habits, to pursue those goals and persevere no matter what, this is an essential skill for everything. Whatever goal you have, any self-transformation you want to have, anything you want to create in your life, if you want to implement the advice of any book or seminar, including Tony Robbins, you will need self-discipline. So what's happening is people just go to the seminar, they are super excited, they create a vision for themselves, and they are full of energy, but they have not developed that ability of self-discipline. I don't know, I haven't been to a workshop, but it seems that he doesn't teach this in a really, really purposeful way. So you go back home and you don't have that structure that allows you to continue doing that. And so then you need another event or you need another book. But if you can learn this one skill of self-discipline, then everything else becomes easier. Whether you are a musician, an artist, an entrepreneur, ambitious professional, like if you want to achieve something that is difficult, something that takes time, you will need self-discipline. And everyone, I can bet that everyone in your field, whatever field you are, the listener listening to this, whatever field you're in, I can bet that the top players in your field, they have a lot of self-discipline. Maybe they call it something else. Maybe they call it willpower or self-control or perseverance or resilience. But they have that ability to continue doing what they know is best for them, despite distractions, temptations, motivation going up and down. They just continue doing it until they get the results.
Yeah, music was something when I was studying the clarinet at a tertiary level. It was every at least 6 days a week, 2 to 3 hours practice. I was had to do it. Sometimes I'd go over a certain passage more than over 100 times at least. So it was difficult.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
What about as a programmer yourself? It was discipline, wasn't it? When you were stuck, and then you have to get through a syntax error. I'm sure there was complicated coding for you too.
Yeah, and especially learning programming. I didn't do a bachelor or I didn't went to college for programming. I was teaching myself, and that demanded incredible self-discipline. Sometimes there was doubts, like, can I do this or not? And there was the perseverance that I'll continue, I'll figure it out, I'll get help if I need to. But yeah, nobody was asking me to study programming. I didn't have an exam that I needed to ace. It was just self-motivated. And so yeah, that was an expression of self-discipline. And then when I was hired, everyone around me has had more education in programming than I had. Everyone around me, all my colleagues, all the other members of the team, they had more experience even in coding than I had, and yet I was the most productive. And that's all because of focus and self-discipline.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it seems to me you don't need a bachelor's degree to be a programmer. You just have to build something.
Yeah. If you know how to code, then you show that through your work, and that's it.
What about when you went for an interview? Did they ever give you any coding problems to solve?
Some of them would, yes. Typically, they would give me a coding task to perform.
Yeah, Giovanni, great episode with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Where can people find you on social media?
Well, that's the thing. I have profiles on social media, but I am not on social media. So the best because I believe that social media is one of the reasons why we are so distracted and not working on our goals.
Mhm.
And so I practice what I preach. The best way would be for people to go to mindfulselfdiscipline.com. That's my website. Or they can check my book on Amazon, Mindful Self Discipline.
Awesome.